What's up, y'all? Editor Justin here. I'm opening up the show with a very special editorial message. And that message is happy birthday to my one and only fiance, Brandy. She's turning 30 years old on the same day that this episode is dropping. And I just wanted to open up the episode by saying, I love you, you're the love of my life, and have a great birthday. All right, let's get right into the pod. Rest in peace to Hat Boy Summer 2024. Justin.
All the noise. Geoff.
Welcome to Bants.
Wait a second, we gotta talk about this before I do mine. Let's have to edit this out. What was with the Hat Boy Summer stuff? What was that?
It's just like started wearing... I just started wearing hats.
That was it?
Yeah.
I thought this was like something that occurred because like it felt like you and Ben and Ken were talking about this like it was a thing.
Well, yeah, what happened is that Ken was like, do you think I... Sorry, this is like the stupidest story of all time. Ken was just like, do you think I should start wearing hats? And he had a hat, and then I started getting hats, and then we all started wearing hats. Ben's always been a hat boy, though, but he just kind of like tagged along, you know.
I think we should keep this in.
Okay.
I want people to hear this. I want them to know it was you. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
so rest in peace, Hat Boy Summer 2024. Geoff, happy first day of autumn.
Justin, the autumnal season is upon us. Do you feel
It
that
is.
crisp chill in the air, Justin?
You know, it is a appropriately gloomy fall morning in DC.
Gloomy?
It's like a little cloudy, yeah.
I would say it's slightly overcast here, but it's still bright.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the weather, I must say. Yesterday it was pretty warm, so I kind of like this return to the cooler temperatures, and the summer was so hot, yeah.
Summer was hot in so many ways.
It was. We'll get to that later.
We will get to that later. We're going to do a fun summer recap.
We are. But first, Geoff, how's your weekend been?
Well, my weekend's been just fine. Let's say that. Let's say
Okay.
that. It's been a good weekend. How's yours?
It's been a good weekend, yeah. Brandy and I attended this event in DC last night. It was called...
Yes, I need to know so much about this event because the photos that you guys posted from it are insane.
Okay, I'm gonna start from the beginning.
Yeah, please do.
Which is that...
It's where all good stories start.
Brandy and I have a mutual friend in DC named Trillium. Shout out Trill. And a few months ago, it might have been just a few weeks ago actually, but she texted us, or I think she was talking to Brandy. And she was like, hey, do you and Justin want to come to this event? It's called Dinner on Blanc. And Brandy was like, yeah, sure, you know, no context about what it is or whatever. And then Brandy and I, like a few weeks later, get added to this WhatsApp group chat. And it has like kind of like our group leader and like a bunch of other people. And he's like describing all this stuff that we have to do for the event.
Our group leader? What does that mean?
He's just like the organizer for his group of people that are involved with this event, basically.
Now, was this a charity event?
I'll get to that. I'll explain.
Okay.
So essentially, I was just like, what is this? So I start like looking into it, and I'm reading this group chat, and it's like, okay, we have to bring our own tables, we have to bring our own chairs, we either have to bring our own food, or we have to get it catered. Like, there's no like food or drink or tables or anything at this event. So I'm like, what is this? Oh, and I should mention it's called Dinner en Blanc because you have to wear all white. No exceptions. Like you even have to wear like a white belt, white shoes. They're very strict about this. No cream, no off-white.
I saw the white belts. Those don't look good on anybody. I gotta say, I don't think I like a white belt at all.
Brandy, when I put it on, Brandy was like, you look like a member of a boy band.
Yeah. It was giving Miami Vice in the worst way.
Okay, so I was reading this group chat, and I was like, at a certain point, I was just like, this is giving me anxiety. Like, I don't want to show up to this thing not prepared, and also I have no idea what it is. So I text Trill directly, and I'm like, hey, can you describe to me what Dinner en Blanc is? And she's like, well, it's kind of just like you show up, you have to bring your own food, your own table, and your own utensils, everything, right? Like cutlery, plates. It's kind of just like Burning Man, but for dinner.
Oh, no. Immediately no.
I was like, okay, so is it like for charity or something? And she was like, no, I think it's just like for fun. And I was like, oh, okay.
So let me get this straight. You're picnicking and wearing all white.
So I looked into the history of the event, and it started off in Paris in the 80s. And the idea, I guess, was just that there was a small group of people who were all like, hey, meet us in the park for like a picnic and we'll all wear white so we can recognize each other like when we get there.
Okay.
And this like expanded into this whole like, now it's like a worldwide event series. It happens all over the place. And it's happened in DC for a few years now. I think this was like the 9th year it's happened in DC.
Uh-huh.
I will say, it is a little bit like Burning Man in that it's like very self-organized. Like that's why this like group leader is so important, because he's the one who's like passing down the rules about like, where do we set up our tables? Like, what are we allowed to bring? What are we not allowed to bring? And people kind of like self-assort once we get to the venue. And I will also mention that the specific location of the dinner is also kept secret until like 15 minutes before the event starts.
What? Why?
I think it's supposed to give the illusion of like spontaneity on the part of the attendees, right? And then when you show up, there's like performance artists and a DJ and like a dance floor and all kinds of stuff like that.
I hate this. I really hate this. This is crazy.
Apparently, it's really hard to get tickets. I don't know if I would go again, but it was a lot of fun, and it was fun because of the people that we went with. You know, it was me and Brandy, Trillium, and a few of Trillium's friends who she also invited, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'm reading the website of Dîner en Blanc. You didn't say it with a French accent, point for me. And it says guests savor their carefully prepared meals and drink in this magical time space with friends new and old. Everyone remains seated until the meal is over. What the fuck? This sounds like some insane, like, New World Order shit.
Well, let me tell you, as somebody who attended this most recent DC, I'm going to keep calling it Dinner en Blanc because...
Dîner en Blanc.
I don't know how to do the French accent.
Dîner.
Dîner en Blanc.
Sounds great, Justin.
Thanks, Geoff.
You're a natch.
As somebody who attended this year's event in DC, they were not strictly enforcing the everybody has to stay seated thing. They were not even strictly enforcing the everybody has to wear white thing. They were like...
Oh, so you lied earlier.
No, I didn't.
Very strict about it.
Well,
point for me.
Ahead of the event, they were like, do not even wear off-white or you will get like weird looks. And I will say, like, the woman that I saw who was wearing like cheetah print, for example, was definitely getting some weird looks.
Cheetah print for this event where you know you're supposed to wear white is crazy. That's just somebody who really wanted a lot of attention.
Exactly. That's exactly why. And as I was making that judgment of her, like seeing her at the event, I was like, oh, I see like how this works. Like it's social pressure basically, because where she's probably receiving a lot of attention, even though it might not be the kind that she envisioned when she planned that outfit.
Yeah. She thought it was going to be a sleigh and it was not.
Right. But yeah, I don't think it was very strict. Like we were up and walking around. There was no like official like, okay, the meal's over now, y'all. Like you can walk around now. It was just like we set our tables up, we started eating, and then, you know, as some of the other things started getting going, like the dance floor and the performance artists, we just like got up and started walking around to see those things. And it wasn't really strict.
I don't like this because you know how I don't like rules like this because they don't make sense. So I'm automatically like, I don't like that. This makes no sense. It's stupid. It's all arbitrary, made up, and who's for who? For whose benefit?
I think it just gives people who maybe don't have a person like you in their life to organize themed events. Do you know what I mean? Something to do.
Sure, I get that, but what I also think is insane is that you don't know where the dinner is until 15 minutes beforehand. What about parking? Who's bringing the tables? Are they going to be able to take the metro, or do they have to take an Uber?
Well, Geoff, that is exactly... So there's... apparently, I learned this in line while we were waiting to get into the location.
Lines to set up your picnic?
Well, Geoff, there's like thousands of people that are attending this. It's not a small event.
So it's like
very large.
There's like a registration gate that you have to go through. So the area is like privatized.
There's a lot of logistical considerations that are made, basically.
Good, share them ahead of time.
The area of the event is obviously closed off to the public. There's like security and, you know, only people who are like have the wristband that your group leader provides you with can get into the premises. In this case, it was like near RFK Stadium, which was an old football stadium in DC that now is about to be demolished. But there is a secondary location that's nearby the final location that everybody kind of gathers and you meet with your group leader there. And there's a lot of logistical concerns. Apparently, it's heavily featured in this book about planning events that I will have to look into the name of, and I'll maybe edit in the name here in post. But hey y'all, Editor Justin here. Just popping in to say that the book that I'm referring to is The Art of Gathering, How We Meet and Why It Matters by Priya Parker. So I haven't read this book, but this is what somebody in line to Dîner en Blanc told me mentions Dina Blanc in the text. So, yeah, let's get back to the pod.
You love to edit in stuff in post.
I
just
do.
love to hear your own voice. Hey everyone, editor Justin here. You love it. You're horny for it.
What an impression of my voice.
I think it's very accurate, and I think all the listeners will agree.
I will say that we were standing around a little bit at this pre-location, but that's because we showed up really early. We showed up like maybe an hour before we had to, which was a mistake. And for that reason, it was a little bit tough. But then after that, once we got moving, it was actually really well executed from like a logistical events planning standpoint. So yeah, no problems. It wasn't like a Fyre Fest, even though it looks a lot like a Fyre Fest situation from the outside.
Okay. And it was inside RFK Stadium, or?
It was like outside. It was like in probably where one of the parking lots used to be when it was heavily used.
Oh, I see. I'm looking at it on Google Earth right now.
They had like those 360-degree slow-mo cameras set up on this AstroTurf field that was nearby the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so the dinner was eaten like on asphalt, and then there was some other stuff on an AstroTurf field as well. So
dinner on asphalt. That, I think, is a better name. Dîner on asphalt.
I'll give that feedback to the planners for next year's event for sure.
Please do. Please do. I'm curious what they think about that.
One other thing we have to catch up on before we get into our hot topics.
Don't tell me what I have to do.
Okay, well, you can go then.
Bye. I'm choosing to come back and participate.
Okay. We did get a correspondence from our common arch nemesis, Jason.
Oh, God.
It was regarding our last episode about the Emmys, where we discussed Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election.
Ooh, wait, what?
Jason emailed the podcast, and he wanted to let us know that Taylor did not actually endorse Clinton, which is something that we both said in the previous episode. The Miss Americana doc, where she talks about endorsing Democratic politicians, was actually filmed from 2018 to 2019, and the discussion she was having with her dad was about her endorsement of Democratic Tennessee congressional candidates. This was during the 2018 midterm elections, after Trump had already been elected. And then, of course, she later endorsed Biden in 2020. But important thing is, and I think actually this backs up my point about Taylor Swift's political activities, like she didn't even endorse anybody in 2016. She stayed apolitical, and it was only after it became clear what Trump would be like in office that she started becoming politically motivated in 2018. Thank you, Jason, for clearing that up. Please stop emailing us.
Jason, get a hobby. That's not writing into us. I'm sorry, I just really don't like Jason. I think he's so rude. Like, you don't ever write anything nice, and you're not like, oh, hey, I love your podcast. It's amazing. You're just like, oh, by the way, this was wrong.
Yeah, Jason, I haven't seen your 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
You know what? If you are listening right now, and you've listened to a couple episodes, and you haven't yet subscribed or reviewed us on Apple or Spotify, please take a little pause and do that now. We'll wait.
Thank you for that 5-star review. We love that. All right, Geoff, let's get into some hot topics from the last week. Did you know that this year's SNL is its 50th season?
You know that I did. As SNL's longest fan.
You are an SNL stan.
I am a stan.
Recently, NBC announced the first couple of hosts and musical performances from
they look good.
The 50th season of SNL.
They look good.
Yeah, and this lineup looking pretty hot. I will say, you might have to... There's one host here whose name I don't recognize.
I know who you're going to say. It's the comedian you don't know.
Nate Bargatze, however you say his last name.
Yes. I don't know a lot about him. He hosted an episode last season, the 49th season of SNL, and I thought he was very solid. He is like one of those people who has like the 4-quadrant appeal, because he does like, he's pretty much known for like being like a clean comic. He doesn't do a lot of cursing. He doesn't do a lot of like taboo subjects. He doesn't do a lot of controversial subjects in his stand-up. So I think that that's part of the reason that he's been selected to be a host, because he did a good job last year, and he's got mass appeal.
Are they having that much trouble finding people? Like, I don't. That's kind of wild to me, because he's a second-time host then.
I don't think SNL's ever going to have a hard time finding people, because for better or for worse, like, everybody has an opinion about SNL and posts about it every week. Which kills me because people just, like, love to shit on it, but then they keep talking about it every time. Such haters. Such hateration.
Couldn't be me, Jeff. I hate on it, and I also never watch it. So.
Justin, goddamn you. You have no taste. Flop taste, I would say.
But truly, the host lineup here looks pretty good outside of Nate Bargatze. It's Gene Smart, who obviously we love from Hacks and Watchmen.
So
Ariana
excited.
Grande. Ariana Grande is hosting,
yeah,
which I think should be interesting. I mean, obviously
she's
she has
great.
Acting chops. Yeah,
she did an episode. I think like, oh geez, that was probably years ago now. I think like 7 or 8 seasons ago she did a job, and she was really good.
Did she ever do the double duty thing where she did the hosting and the musical
I
performances?
think that she did. I want to say that
that's
she
always
did.
so impressive to me when people do that. It's wild.
It's a lot, but she's like, you know, Nickelodeon girl.
Oh yeah, she's got the chops.
Oh, 100%. She's got the range.
And then we have Michael Keaton and John Mulaney, who I think both like old standards in the entertainment business at this point.
Yeah, Michael Keaton is always good on SNL. He's hosted it at least like 3 or 4 times.
And I'm assuming this is like promoting Beetlejuice, which is the Tim Burton directed sequel to obviously Beetlejuice.
Yeah, it's because it's like right before Halloween that he's hosting. I think the 19th. I think that's what I remember seeing. One thing I love about SNL's announcements is that they do it on the post-it notes because I'm such a visual person, so I can like see it in my mind. I love that.
And then the musical guests also look really cool. So
Chappell Roan.
Of course we have Chappell Roan.
Chappell Roan au dîner en blanc
is performing on the same day that John Mulaney is hosting.
That'll be a great episode. Mulaney is always good.
Do you think she's gonna premiere new music?
I wouldn't be surprised if she did.
Because it's November 2nd.
Yeah.
It's a bit from now. She's been talking about how she's writing new music with Dan Nigro.
She has a bunch of unreleased songs, too. Quote, unquote, unreleased. One of her songs is Subway. Subway Car, I think, something like that. It's very good. Anna made me listen to it the other night.
Right. Just the other night, I was going to say that a mutual friend of ours, Anna, sent us a Spotify bootleg of this song being performed at Coachella. So, yeah.
It was very good. That would make sense, too, because it's like right before the holiday season.
I don't want to rush her, but I feel like she's got to have something, percolating.
Oh, I bet she does.
We also have Billie Eilish and Stevie Nicks,
William
who
Eylash.
I think we both like.
Wonderful spooky duo.
And then Coldplay is the musical guest for October 5th, which they're inexplicably coming out with a new album, I think, that weekend.
Okay.
Have you listened to any of the new Coldplay?
No.
Don't.
I'm not interested.
Do not listen to it. It's really bad.
Coldplay peaked in like 2001.
It's sad because we've talked about this before, so I won't beat it to death, but they had a couple of good albums, and it's just sad that they've really fallen off so hard. But yeah, very excited for season 50 of SNL. I'm sure we'll talk about any of the important episodes, especially the Chappell episode. Next up, we have a pretty wild story that connects a lot of things that we've been talking about in past episodes.
It sure does.
It has to do with a video game that was released earlier this year in January. It's called Pal World. Jeff, have you ever heard of this game?
I had not until you sent me this crazy article the other day. But you absolutely must discuss because it's wild.
Okay, so this game first went viral like last year, maybe even in 2022, when its first trailer came out. And it was basically marketed as Pokémon with guns, which is like a hilarious concept in the first place, right? It was all of these very Pokemon-looking creatures that had like these giant Gatling guns and were like shooting at people and like killing them. And I'm not the kind of person that's really drawn or wants to play that kind of video game, but it did numbers on TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. So it had this like huge viral build-up to release. And when it did release, it did numbers as well, right? It sold like a bajillion copies in January. It was very popular. And I think critically, it was actually very polarizing in terms of people's response to it. Because on one side, like as a game, if we take away the similarities to Pokemon, it's a pretty basic like survival game. And if you're not into gaming, basically what that means is it's kind of just like you start out with pretty much nothing in this open world and you have to like get resources like wood or grass or whatever. And then you use those resources to build a base or make new weapons. And then you can then use those new weapons to get more materials and then you can build bigger bases. And as a part of that, you can capture these creatures that are similar to Pokemon. I think they're called pals in the world of Pal World.
That makes sense.
Critics did not find it to be like super innovative in terms of like a survival game mechanics. But I think it was the fact that it had this Pokemon wrapping that really made it super popular. As we discussed during the Pokemon episode, there haven't been a lot of like high quality Pokemon like games that have come out, right, to capitalize on the popularity of that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Power World is like maybe the biggest exception ever because it was super popular when it first came out. So that's one reason why critics were polarized, because some people thought that the survival game mechanics were a little bit basic. The second thing that was a huge point of conversation, at least in video game circles, was just how similar some of the creature designs were between Power World and Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send you a web page that compares some of the Pokemon designs with some of the designs in Power World.
I've looked up some of this in preparation, and I'm like shocked at like the blatant, I would say,
apparent,
alleged,
yeah,
like full blown
plagiarism.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's shocking, honestly. Oh wow.
A lot of the Power World creatures either look like you took two Pokemon and just like mashed them together,
yeah,
or in some cases that are like really blatant, they look like identical, like almost exactly the same.
It's like the same thing in a different font.
Right. And there was a lot of speculation actually about, because this developer who made Power World has talked a lot about the uses of AI in game design. And they even, during a talk at a conference, gave an example of taking Pokemon designs, feeding them into a generative AI model, and then coming out with new Pokemon designs that come out of that AI model. Like they talked about this as a potential use for AI, right? So there's a lot of speculation at the time of like, did they just like take wireframes from Pokemon games, add them to a generative AI model like as input, and then get a bunch of like shitty B-rate Pokemon as the output? Yeah. And I will say, like, me personally, when I look at some of these PAL designs, like, they are bad. Like they don't have as much character as like the Pokemon designs that they may or may not be based on, right?
Yeah.
They look kind of generic Pokemon, or, you know, we have Pokemon at home, basically.
The one that like looks like Gyarados is like insane to me, and the same as the cow that looks like Snorlax. I'm like, holy crap, these are the same.
Yes. Okay, so there's a lot of like speculation about potential copyright infringement by the Power World developers.
Sure. Lawsuit.
The game came out in January, so it's been like 8 months since this game came out. And it was actually surprising that Nintendo didn't sue the developers of Power World earlier, because their lawyers are famously aggressive.
Very litigious.
We've talked about how we're a Nintendo podcast here. We love Nintendo games and Nintendo consoles, but
we do.
What I can personally say is that I am not very pro Nintendo lawyers. Like, they, for a long time, were taking down videos of people playing their games on YouTube until they finally came to their senses and like realized this is what games are like in 2024, in this decade.
And that it's free promotion.
Right, it's free promotion.
Fools!
They're like way overactive. They take down a lot of fan games. They take down like emulators, which not all big game companies do. So
right,
their lawyers are very active. So it was kind of surprising that they didn't like immediately sue them. There's a lot of Pokemon-like games that Nintendo will take down because they're too similar to Pokemon.
Yeah.
So when the news broke last week that in Japanese court, Nintendo was suing the Power World developers, to me, this was a very interesting story, because A, if it is true that Power World developers used AI to make these new creature models, this could be like a landmark case in copyright law, at least in Japan, which obviously I'm not an expert in any kind of law, and by no stretch am I an expert in Japanese law. But this could still be a landmark case in terms of thinking about copyright and AI. And also it has this interesting dynamic where in this situation, I do kind of side more with Nintendo, but they are kind of like the big Goliath to Power World's David.
Yeah.
Power World developers, they're a pretty small development team, which may be the reason why they could have used AI potentially, is because they don't have the same number of artists that Game Freak has to like churn out 100 new Pokemon every year, right?
Yep.
Maybe they needed a high throughput way to make creature designs, and this is how they did it. And I think that's also an interesting dynamic. So that news broke, and those were like my initial takes when I had first heard about the lawsuit.
It seems very obvious to me that they literally did what they were talking about. Like, this could be a potential use of AI. It's like, you just described what you did. This isn't like a new novel idea that's like untested and hypothetical. It's something you literally did.
This is something that's interesting, is that when I read a little bit more about the lawsuit, it's actually not a copyright lawsuit. It is a patent lawsuit. They are saying that the Power World developers infringed on one of their patents. And the specific patents are like basically a Pokemon-like game where you use like little balls, Pokeballs, to capture monsters, right?
Yeah.
And importantly, Power World looks a lot like the patent designs that Nintendo submitted as a patent.
Yes.
Even including like the Pokeball itself. Like Power World has its own version of a Pokeball that looks very similar to a Pokeball.
Yeah.
It seems like that is actually what they're suing about, not the creature designs. So,
well, because it's a stronger case.
Exactly.
That you can say, like, this is something that's, like, literally our model, and they co-opted it to make their own. Because then that copyright thing gets into, like, an IP issue, and IP is just such a really legal gray area of, like, how can you prove that somebody didn't originally come up with this idea?
Exactly. They would have to have like hard evidence that they somehow took Pokemon designs,
right?
Or they would argue stole Pokemon designs from the Pokemon games and fed that into the AI. And without any kind of inside information about what they did internally to make these creature designs, I don't think they have the evidence to do that.
No case.
For me, being somebody who is kind of against generally use of AI in the arts, that was a little disappointing because they're not going after them in that way. And it becomes a little bit more of a Nintendo being a bully through their lawyer situation.
I don't think that they're being bullies. These people, like, literally stole their entire model of what this game is. Like, the open world design, literally the Pokeballs. I mean, come on. It's, like, it's very apparent that it was just stolen.
What's interesting is that it's a very different kind of game. Like, Pokemon games are not survival games the way that Power World is. But it's wrapped up in a wrapper that is so Pokemon coded that, yeah, I do agree with you. I think it's obvious that was like a part of the pitch, right? It's basically like what if Pokemon, but with more interesting stuff that is like a game
with
genre
higher
that
stakes.
Is, right. A game genre that is more popular right now than like turn-based RPGs, right?
Right, exactly.
The demand for that type of game is obvious.
It's like Fortnite meets Pokemon.
Right. And it's obvious that that's popular because it sold like bajillions of copies when it came out.
Truly.
I will say, sales and player count has fallen off since then, but it's a single player game, so it's not like you have to have an active population at all times. So I think it's unambiguously a huge success. I don't know. I do, because in some ways, I do think that it would be good to mix up the Pokemon formula a little bit, and stuff like Power World puts pressure on Game Freak to do different and new stuff. If Nintendo just sues them into oblivion and they can't put out any other games like this anymore, then Game Freak can go on making the exact same game with some cool new Pokemon designs every year, which don't necessarily want that to happen. So we'll follow it for sure, and we'll update if we hear anything.
It's not all fun and games, Justin, because we also need to talk about Katy Perry's latest album, 143. Have you listened to any of it?
Geoff, on Friday when this album released, you texted me and said that I had to listen to the album to talk to you on the pod. And I was like, oh man, maybe this is going to be like a surprise great album.
Mm-hmm.
And Geoff, I listened to the entire thing.
Yeah.
And I'll let you give your take on it.
This album, I would say, is ushering a new era in which Katy Perry is no longer relevant. This release date will be marked on her tombstone. For Katy Perry, as we know her, Katherine Hudson, I'm sure, will live on for many years and have a wonderful life. But Katy Perry is dead after this album. This album is one of the worst albums from a major artist that I have ever heard. And I say this as someone who used to love Katy Perry before she started opening her mouth a little too much, giving us insights into her political ideology, and that's tough. But this album is truly bad, and it sounds like soulless, joyless, AI-created pop music, and it's just so boring, and it's like when there's no soul, and when there's no fun, and when it's boring, that is a major flop in pop music.
Yeah, this is easily the worst album I've listened to in memory. Like, I can't remember, like you said, I think this is an all-time flop of an album from a major artist. I can't remember an album that has been this bad, maybe since, like, I think, well, we talked about Coldplay earlier. Some of, like, Coldplay's, like, Music of the Spheres albums, I think, their previous album that just came out reminds me of this, but they were not riding as high as Katy Perry was prior to this album, I think.
Yeah.
When I got to the second track of this album, Gimme Gimme, I think is the name of the song, I was like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know who let her put this out. Like, who at the record label was like, this seems like a good vibe for Katy Perry. Let's do it.
I feel like there's two possibilities here. And this is of course, pure speculation, and I would even say going into your favorite word, conspiracy territory. But I feel like either Katy Perry has delivered so much to her label. She's broken records for Capitol Records.
Right.
I think she's their highest selling artist of all time, most diamond, certified artist of all time. Like, Katy Perry was like a monolith in the entertainment industry for a very long time. So it's either that she has so much clout and influence and power, even in that label, that she just basically has carte blanche to do whatever she wants with few guardrails whatsoever, or they are tired of dealing with her and tired of her latest albums being like not commercially successful, and they were like, we are giving her the nail and the hammer that she can hammer into her own coffin. Sayonara.
It boggles the mind, because like there are people who are on this album who are talented. Like, truly condolences to everybody who worked on this album in any capacity.
Stargate. And that song is terrible.
Yeah, like Circuit is on there, who worked a lot with Kesha. A lot of these people are Dr. Luke frequent collaborators, so...
Boo, tomatoes.
But they're not Dr. Luke, right? People like Oliver, who was an electronic producer who I really liked and has done some really interesting stuff production-wise, is a producer on this album. Don't hear any of that. Like, there's no interesting production.
Yeah.
There's nothing redeemable about the album. The lyrics are garbage. The production sounds like it would have sounded tired like 5 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. It's not fresh.
It's not even like she's doing the same thing that she did in 2020. It's more like she's doing the same thing she did in 2020, but worse. Like, it sounds so boring and it's just bad. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough. It's really tough to see somebody who was so successful and influential, like, really fall so far. I think it's super unfortunate that she decided to work with Dr. Luke for, reasons we've already discussed on the podcast. But that is, like, really hard for a lot of people to swallow, myself included. And, like, the features that she did, I mean, I love Doechii, and I think that song is pretty good, but I think what's good about it is the Crystal Water sample, as discussed last episode, and Doechii's lyrics and verses, like, they're fun. That is the only part that brings, like, any soul or energy into that song. I'm His, He's Mine is the song that I'm talking about.
Yep.
But I think lyrically, the rest of the album is entirely bankrupt. It's just full of, like, cliches that feel like they're straight out of 2016 Hillary Clinton's campaign. Soft and confident, strong, so soft. I mean, it's crazy what they did here.
It's exactly like how you described. Like, I almost suspect that AI was involved in writing some of these lyrics. Like, they are that bad. The final song, I think it's called Wonder.
It didn't inspire any wonder. It inspired me to end the album early.
It's like the most cliche thing of all time. Like, she has a child who... like, other people have done this and it's been like their actual kid. So I don't know if it's her
That
child.
is her daughter.
Okay.
Her daughter Daisy.
It's like she has her daughter say something at the beginning.
Which is sweet, but it's certainly not Blue Ivy Carter on Beyonce's self-titled album.
It's also deeply auto-tuned to a point where it sounds like insane.
Yeah.
It makes me question almost like Katy Perry as somebody who has taste. I'm like, is it an accident that she was a success for this long? Like, I don't understand how it's possible that she was so successful in the past, but I guess people
that's
change.
Really interesting, Justin, actually, what you brought up. You know what it feels like? I get the feeling when I listen to this album and when I've been like seeing her on the red carpet and giving interviews in the press lately, it feels like a friend that you were like really close with in high school, and then they got involved in like an MLM and decided to start wearing like anti-vaxxer hats a lot. And it's like, ooh. And it's like, we used to be friends. What's up with that?
Right. It makes you look at past, in the friend analogy, it makes you look at like past times you've interacted with them and being like, should I have known then? Like, was there something about the way now it makes me go back to like older Katy Perry, and I'm like recontextualizes it in a way, and it makes me reconsider whether this was like as good as I thought it was. Like Teenage Dream.
Yeah.
Incredible album. Like Michael Jackson levels of success. Like, that was a crazy album.
Huge album.
And, when I think back to the summer that California Girls came out, I was bopping that. That song was a banger. Yeah.
It's really interesting, though, because when you said, did she have taste? I was like, no, I don't think that she did. Really? Katy Perry was almost doing like shtick. but it was like with a wink. Like she knew it was campy, over the top, and silly, and like tastefully bad. But now I'm like, I don't think that there's a wink anymore. Like, I don't think that she is doing stuff that is knowingly silly and dumb and bad. I think she's doing stuff now, and it feels like she's like eager for a comeback. We're not in on the joke with her anymore. We're now laughing at her.
Right. The line between being camp and just being actively bad is thin. And like, especially for somebody like Katy Perry, like I think she in some ways is like an older model of pop star, where it's just like, get a bunch of extremely talented producers and songwriters behind her,
right,
and just have her be like the voice and the person executing on those plans, and like, you got gold, you've hit the gold mine, right? And now it's like we're in the era of pop stardom where it's like the music and the image of the pop star are so intertwined with each other, right? We talked about the era of authenticity in pop music, and even with Sabrina Carpenter, you know, like she mostly writes all of her own songs. You know, she has like, it seems like even though she has an escapist album, it's still very intertwined with like her as a personality.
Yeah, her identity.
Instead of as like a living product, right? Like Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera. And Katy Perry might have been like a standby from that older type of pop star. And it's just not enough now, maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when Katy Perry first got on the scene, you know, I think that was probably like, what, 2007 or maybe late 2006. And she had I Kissed a Girl. And like, actually before that, when she was still she was an independent artist, I think, or she was just like in subsidiary of Capitol Records. And she was like a gospel singer and like a singer-songwriter. Like, she plays guitar and she does write music, and she has obviously written huge hits, but it's like that identity as somebody who was like really connected with the music and was doing expressive art, I think is really lost behind all the things that you were just talking about. It feels like in the past, like Teenage Dream was like one of the best examples of an escapist work of art, I think, in like the last century. Like, it really fully put you into this world that she developed that was basically like living in Candyland, like sexy Candyland. It was like kind of a utopic and euphoric vision of like what her life and her world of California she imagines it is or was. And I think the biggest downfall of her album, 143, I think what's lost here is that there's no real vision. There's no unifying connective tissue through the album. It just feels like a bunch of songs that they're like, this could probably be a single, or this could probably trend on TikTok for a week. And because of that, there's no soul and no grand vision behind it.
Well, I think the theme is supposed to be love, but that is such like a general and banal theme that it's like you could pretty much write any song that's positive and it could fall into that theme.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like completely head empty, like nonsense music, like intentionally, but again, it crosses that line from being camp to being actively bad. And I think there is that separation between Katy Perry as a person and Katy Perry as a musician. The cognitive dissonance between her having Dr. Luke as the producer on a song called Woman's World is like just too much to bear.
Yeah, that part is especially tough. You know, we talked about this before, but I'm like, did you really think? Period. Or question mark.
Well, again, it makes me reconsider stuff like Teenage Dream, where it's like we looked at that and we were like, oh, this is like maybe a little bit campy because, you know, she had in a lot of the, you know, imagery for Teenage Dream, she was like very sexualized and had like the whipped cream boobs and stuff like that.
Whipped cream boobies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was always like, okay, well, this is intentionally like pinup culture, like being campy, right? Like, and now it's kind of just like, oh, was she actually just like Britney Spears 2.0? Like, was she just being sexualized by the record label again? I don't know.
I don't think so, because I also think about things like the Met Gala where she went dressed as a cheeseburger, and then another time as like a chandelier.
Oh, I forgot about like quirky era Katy Perry.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I was getting at, is like, I think that was like very of that time. It was like very early 20-teens, and
Zooey
it was
Deschanel.
Like Zooey Deschanel. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Quirky, different, like not like the other girls.
Yeah.
Kind of a vibe, and I just don't think that flies anymore.
Yeah, I guess Teenage Dream was kind of against type with that, right? Because then she was like a pinup, right?
She definitely had different eras that she went through. I also think that she was working closely with a lot of collaborators who influenced her style. There's a guy, I cannot remember his name, it's Johnny something, but he was her like longtime stylist back then, and I think a lot of the interesting and more campy things that she did could be directly attributed to his influence of her persona and of her appearance at that time. Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't think they work together anymore. I think she has like a whole new team.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was tough. This was really tough. I think out of a 10, I'd have to give this album like a 3.5. I think a 4 might even be too generous, to be perfectly honest. And I hate doing that because I like Katy Perry.
I'm not going to give it a score. I'm just saying don't listen to it. Like, we listen to it so that you don't have to. If you really want to see for yourself, then go for it. But, like, it's, like I said, it's the worst album I can remember listening to in recent memory. Like, no joke.
It's really hard because, like, you know, I have fond memories attached to Katy Perry. I mean, I even went and saw her with Anna and Julie years ago when she was at Mohegan Sun, and it was such a fun show. And so it's just really hard to see somebody that you, like, once held a lot of affinity towards fall so far. So prayers for Katy Perry.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. And, like, please, Katy Perry, stop talking in public. We don't need to know your thoughts about politics or who you're voting for in this election. We certainly don't need to know your thoughts about the pandemic or vaccines. We certainly don't need to know your thoughts on femininity and what it means to be a woman in today's society, because I think that all credit is absolutely lost for working with known sexual assailant Dr. Luke.
Well, we're going to talk about more positive things that happened this summer in our main segment. So let's take a quick break.
And we're back.
We are back.
And we're ready to dive back in time. I know it's just become the first day of autumn here as we record, but we're ready to take a little retrospective of summer 2024.
Yes, well, we thought we're not quite ready to settle into fall yet, so let's talk about the good times that we had this summer. What maybe was good, what flopped, just what the general vibe of this summer was, because I think it was really a singular summer, and it was a great summer to begin our podcast, honestly.
It was a great time. I would say this was one of the most fun summers I've had in a very long time. What are you?
I don't know about...
Oh.
I struggle with summer as a season, as an adult.
Okay.
Because I feel like I have memories of summer when I was in, like, elementary school, high school, college, where you have all this time off, and it's like this time of ennui, where it's like... Yeah. I think that is an important vibe to get, especially as a kid, because it kind of like that's what pushes you to like be, you know, what's the word?
Creative.
Yeah, creative and just like reflective, I think, about yourself and your life.
Okay.
And as an adult, it's like I'm still working. Usually I'm busy because it's also often wedding season. You're, you know, traveling around a lot. As you gather more friends over the course of your life, you're doing
Justin,
a lot of stuff
I got a life
friends.
hack for you. I got a life hack for you.
Is it no new friends?
It's no new friends and say no to weddings.
Say no to weddings?
Say no to weddings. I think we got to normalize saying no to weddings. You're going to spend like $500 a pop, generally, if you have to travel. You got to get a hotel room, gas, train ticket, airplane, new outfit sometimes, or new accessories, food outside of your wedding stuff that's being provided, but like food the night before the wedding, food the day after. It's a lot, Justin. I think we got to normalize saying, thanks, I'm so happy for the invite. I wish you all the best. Here's a nice gift or contribution to your honeymoon fund, but I can't come.
I will say that weddings are not an excuse for me this year because I actually didn't have any weddings.
So you're unpopular? Point for me.
A lot of the weddings that I went to was last year. I do have a wedding coming up next weekend, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, you're working it? You're catering that wedding?
I'm attending as a guest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you, Geoff. But yeah, I mean, a lot of my time now during summers is consumed with like plans, and especially now that I'm training for a marathon, which I don't think I've actually said on the podcast before, but I've been training for a fall marathon.
I wish you wouldn't.
And it just takes up, I won't talk about it, but it just takes up a lot of time, which I think people maybe don't instinctually or intuitively understand, is that it's like you are spending oftentimes like on your long run days like 2 to 3 hours running in the morning. And you're not going to have a great run if you're up late the night before, you know what I mean? So a lot of your time is taken up by that. So yeah, honestly, I've had a pretty good summer. It went by really fast, and I think that is what has been striking to me, is just how fast it went. Because there's a lot of good stuff that happened, and I'm like, can I have a little bit more time with this? Like, Brad's summer doesn't have to be over yet.
It's interesting that you feel that way. I don't. I felt like the summer was extremely long because we started having great weather in the Northeast in like the very beginning of June.
It was hot. Yeah.
This was a hot summer. We had some great summer music drop pretty early on in the season, like Brat. And so I felt like I had my fill of Brat summer, I would say.
Brat specifically, I think had, obviously we love Brat, we love Charli. We talked about it a lot. Had a lot of longevity, and I think it did have an appropriate amount of spotlight. Like, and of course we're still going to get a remix album in October, so it's still going. But I think that was a dominating feature of the summer for sure. Like, Brat becoming the album that it became. It wasn't instant either. Like, I remember when we were talking about 360 on the show when it first dropped in May. It was kind of like a niche. I think we just chose to talk about it because we were both huge Charli fans. It wasn't like
Charli fans.
Yes, we are. And I mean, I'm not trying to say we're like hipsters or Charli is unknown or anything like that, but it wasn't the cultural phenomenon that it has turned into,
Yeah. You might say we were early adopters by way of stand-up.
Yes, definitely. Early adopters pejorative.
What do you mean pejorative? I'm proud of it. I love it. And I feel like I was late to the Charli XCX party, period. Because I wasn't like a huge fan of her until Crash.
Yeah, that is pretty late. Yeah.
I knew lots of people that like had been talking about her for years, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I still now feel like I was an early adopter, even though I really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of were. I've heard a little bit about the Sweat Tour shows.
I'm going to try to go to the Boston show next weekend.
Well, okay, mate. I don't want this to color your perception of the show or anything like that, but I've seen some Reddit posts on like the Charli XCX subreddit about how a lot of the audience like don't even know songs that are not off Brat. Like they'll play Vroom Vroom and the crowd is like, what is this?
Oh, I've already seen that on TikTok.
Which is so sad. Like that is so sad to me. I hope that people do get to know the rest of her discography because Vroom Vroom is like one of the best songs live anybody can play.
Yeah.
Like, it's
the energy when we saw that show in DC was like insane.
Yeah.
It was like palpable, physically vibrating.
Right.
Good times.
Let's talk about some of the other hot music from the summer.
Wait a second. I've got a question for you.
Oh, sure.
What do you think about Broadham?
Brat Autumn?
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's just a meme, right? Like, there's no...
I don't know, Justin. That remix album, the full thing's dropping in October sometime. I think it could be a Broadham.
I'm sure that Charli wants it to be a thing and her record label wants it to be a thing. I think I think it's good when things have their ending point. Like I'm going to keep listening to Brat. I love the album. It's one of my favorite albums of the year, but it doesn't need to dominate the pop culture sphere forever. I'm cool with having there be something else that we talk about in autumn,
You know what I'd like for the autumn?
What?
Were you considering whether this was a worthwhile endeavor to ask me what?
No, I was just...
It took a long time to reply.
I thought it was a rhetorical question. I thought you were just going to go right in, so I was letting you go.
I never speak in rhetoric. I always want to engage you.
Okay,
That's why we do this together.
What do you want from autumn, Geoff?
Well, Justin, I want a new Adele album. Nothing says autumn and Thanksgiving time like Adele. But you know what she said recently? She said I might be taking another 7-year break.
Of course she is. If
Miss
I was
Girl!
Adele, I would be too. She's won the lottery, basically. She's like, I can, work really hard once every 7 or 8 years, put out a Grammy-winning album, call it a day, and I'll be a multimillionaire. I would do the same thing.
I mean, you know what? I often think that about a lot of wealthy, not just rich, but wealthy people. I'm like, you guys have it fucking made. You can now spend all of your time doing whatever you want. Why do you still work? If you had a net worth of, let's say, in terms of the 1%, a relatively small net worth of like $15 million, would you still work, Justin?
I think I would do it. Like, would I work a job like I'm working?
Like, I'm talking a 9-to-5 job, or even, 60 to 70 hour a week job. Like some of these, like, hedge fund managers and things like that.
No, I wouldn't do that. I do think that work in the looser sense is important for a fulfilling life. Like whether that means going out into your garden.
One of these fucking people. Oh, okay. Wait, sorry. I might have judged you too harshly.
Well, it's like going out into your garden and like doing some like physical work to like make your community better or your life better, I think is like fulfilling, right? You don't want to just like hire a bunch of people to do a bunch of shit and then sit and drink.
I wouldn't call that work.
Right. That's what I mean.
Because
like
in my mind, it's like leisure. That's like a fun leisure activity. I would love to own a home and have a large garden, vegetables, cutting garden, herb garden.
That's a lot of work. You know what I mean? That's what people would say, but it's not the type of work.
But I wouldn't view it as work. Yeah, I'm talking
work in the capitalist sense.
Yeah. Yes, work in the capitalist sense, not working the earth, working the land, working your body. Those to me are not like what I consider work.
Well, I guess if I have a take about this question, it's that capitalism has like separated the joy from work, like by definition, because of the way that we now interact with labor, where to the point where it's like we all hate this. And I think that it shields the fact or hides the fact that there actually are enjoyable parts of work that now are just so tainted by like our capitalist society that it's like hard to, I don't know. It's hard to separate from that for some people, I think, it's a complex relationship that we have with it. I would really like to have a more creative, like non 9-to-5 quote unquote job if I were in that situation.
Would you be a TikTok DJ?
I'd probably put a lot more time into DJing and like potentially this podcast and stuff like this, where
Justin, let's put more time in the pod.
Well, Geoff, as we've discussed, we both, unlike many full-time podcasters, we have separate full-time jobs.
I don't think that's that different.
I think a lot of podcasters,
once they've made it.
Yeah, once they have made it. Once they've made it, are really full-time and or have a team of people working with them to get the podcast out. It's really just me and Geoff back here, if you guys want to see behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the two of us. But what would you do? What would you do if you could literally, you had $15 million. It was well invested. You're going to make money every year.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think I would do a lot more like creative stuff. Like I might try to, all this stuff, I'm probably terrible at it, but and now because I would like need to work to make a living, I'm not going to try stuff that I'm like, oh, I'm probably garbage at that. I might like try writing or try, being more creative with music or something like that. In addition to my existing hobbies, probably spend a lot more time reading, I might go to the gym more often. There's all kinds of stuff that I would love to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of my life is taken up by working.
Feel that. Anyways,
what were we talking about?
Back to summer. We were talking about Adele.
Oh,
Adele's quasi-retirement. Her, I wouldn't even say annual because it's not annual, but her 7-year retirement cycle.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other pop girlies like Adele, I think that the other two obvious winners, who we both had dedicated episodes about over the summer, are Chappell Roan and Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh, big time.
We've talked a lot about how those two and Charli have kind of dominated the pop landscape, at least in our circles. Because I do think it is interesting if you look at the pop charts over the summer, a lot of the pop charts are dominated by like country artists and like rappers who I've never heard of before, which is bizarre. But at least in the circles that I am hanging out with, it's like Charli, Chappell, Sabrina.
Of everybody here, who would be the three?
I think that in addition to those three, who we have talked about them a lot already on the pod, there were a lot of female pop albums that came out over the summer, including one that we also had a dedicated episode on, our first ever episode.
Dua Lipa.
Radical Optimism. We also had a Camila Cabello album come out.
Yeah.
Also, this new Katy Perry album. So we have also had some pop girlies that dropped this summer. And it's actually incredible that all of these albums came out the same season. And not all of them were successful. Katy Perry, I think, is really, truly, like 143 is legendarily bad.
Legendarily bad. That should be the title of the episode.
Yeah. But the Camila Cabello album at least has some redeeming qualities. And so does I actually really like the Dua Lipa
Did you listen
album.
to it?
I've listened to like a couple of songs off it. And
I have to say I didn't listen to any of it. I just heard that one song. I love it.
Oh, that song was a cringe single choice. It's
horrendous.
Obviously trend chasing, I think, is how I would describe it.
Yeah.
And I think there is a valid criticism to be made there, but at least she's like trying to do something, unlike Katy Perry. Not to compare the two.
I think what she was trying to do is steal Charli XCX's sound.
Yeah.
Oop.
I don't know if it was Charli XCX explicitly, but I do think now, especially post Brat, like Charli is like the leader of that subgenre of pop, which I think a lot of people would call hyper pop, but I think that has a negative connotation.
I also think that Charli's kind of like transcended that from Brat.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And Crash. I mean, Crash, she was doing like her 80s pop girly kind of sound. But before that, like Charli self-titled, that was definitely what I would consider hyper pop.
But yeah, do you have any like takes on maybe why some of these albums flopped and some of them were like stratospherically successful?
Well, I think that Camila Cabello doesn't have a great reputation. I think that she is seen as like a tryhard. I also think that she is like allegedly an unkind person and difficult to work with, according to the blind items and lots of other interviews with her Fifth Harmony bandmates. It sounds like she caused a lot of issues. I think also a lot of people, for whatever reason, are so invested in this obviously fake relationship between her and Shawn Mendes. And the inauthenticity of it all just really rubs some people like myself the wrong way.
Wait, okay.
And yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought, and then I have like multiple threads.
I was also going to say that the blonde moment, I think every pop star does this at some point to really change things up. They dye their hair blonde or bleach their hair.
Just off the top of my head, in the last few years, Katy Perry did this, Dua Lipa did this.
Yep.
Yeah, so just two girlies who
and I would
just
say
talking about.
With varying degrees of success. Katy Perry's flopped because it was a bad haircut for her face shape, and she's like canonically known to have like either jet black or like funky colored blue and purple hair. Mm-hmm. And so the blonde and the pixie cut was just not giving. Dua Lipa, I think, is just one of the most beautiful people in the world and can pull off literally anything. Like, if she wore, like, a paper rucksack tomorrow, like, everybody else would be out there buying them and talking about how chic it is.
Yep.
You know? Not everybody has that range to pull off the blonde. And for me, Camila Cabello is one of those people. I'm like, this girl needs a toner and a good friend and hairstylist stat. You need the three. The blonde moment was just not giving for her. It was not a good shade. It wasn't a good tone. It was brassy. And it looked very damaged. I said, how about a wig?
I think that's probably intentional. I think she was going for that, like, party girl, not to make the Charli connections more obvious, but I think she was going for that aesthetic, you know? Like the box bleach.
It wasn't it.
But do you think that, like, her not being easy to work with, do you think that trickles down to commercial performance?
Yeah, no, I don't think that those two things are necessarily, like, intrinsically related, but I just think that Camila Cabello has, like, stepped in it one too many times for people to really take her seriously. And for whatever reason, I'm not involved in this corner of the internet, but there are, like, Fifth Harmony stans out there who, like, particularly stan one of the 5 members. It's, like, them against all the other 4, and it's so fucking weird to me. And I never thought that Fifth Harmony was relevant enough for that to be a thing, but it really is. Like, there are Normani stans who will never support her. Then there was some convoluted controversy between Charli and Camila. I'm sorry, I mispronounced her name. I always, because some people say Camila Cabello and some people say Camila. So I don't actually know what the correct pronunciation is.
I've always said Camila.
And that's on me.
That's
Camila.
That's what I've always said. Yeah, I don't know if that's
Camila
accurate.
Cabello.
Yeah,
that could be. That could definitely be. So sorry to that girl. I don't know how to pronounce your name properly. Yeah, I don't know. You know how some people just have it? I don't think she has it. She doesn't have the it factor for me. She's not an X factor for me.
I will also say, I think that a lot of this like analysis of pop culture, like some of it just is right place, right time. Like, and luck, you know what I mean?
Half of everything is luck. Half of anyone's success is luck.
That added to the fact that this seemed from the outside to be such an obvious play for, like, I'm switching up my look. I'm switching up my sound. This is totally different. I'm going to be cool and edgy now. Like, I think those two things combined, like, again, maybe in a different world where the release lineup didn't stack up the way that it did this summer, where we had, you know, Charli putting out Brat the same year, the same season. This could have been successful. It might have hit the radios and hit people in a different way. But I think we had, you know, we can have Charli and Chappell in the same summer. But I do think that when you have something that is like sonically as similar as the Camila Cabello album and Charli, those two albums are directly competing with each other, and the better music is going to be the one that rises to the top of those two. Yep. So I think people were listening to Brat, and that is just a better album.
Yeah, I agree. And I also just think, like, unfortunately, we, the people of our earth and society, currently have the attention span of a goldfish, perpetuated by the designs and user experience of our social media platforms. And so if you have a terrible lead single, no one's going to even pay attention to the rest of your album.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen for you. I'm so sorry. I wish that we weren't like this, but we unfortunately are. So picking something like I Love It, that's not it. That was not the move. You know what's also interesting is, like, she, I think, is, like, known to be, like, a pretty good singer.
She is, and she's a great dancer, too. That's another thing.
Yes, very much so, 100%. And beautiful girl, for sure. So it's interesting that, like, the music that she seems to be putting out doesn't really showcase her talents.
Yeah, you can make... I mean, I said a similar thing when we had our Sabrina Carpenter episode, where I was like, Sabrina Carpenter is an excellent vocalist, and you wouldn't necessarily know it from some of the songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. In some ways, it's kind of like a light flex, where it's like, listen, I don't need to show off to be successful. I don't need to use the pipes to be successful or to have a commercial hit.
Sure.
But when I need to, I can pull them out.
But you know what song I really like that Camila Cabello did? Senorita, with Shawn Mendes. Written by Charli XCX, which a lot of people don't know.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah.
It's a great song. Do more of that, I say.
It's tough because I think that, like I said, in a parallel universe where maybe the lineup stacked up differently or maybe it hit people's ears differently, I think it may have been successful. And I feel the same way about Dua Lipa. I still think that Radical Optimism is underrated this summer. And
it's very good.
I think it's just the moment that it came out in. Like, I think that people were not really trying to listen to it feels a little bit Biden versus Kamala to me. Like, and
interesting.
In this landscape, Dua is the Biden, and like somebody like Kamala is Brat, obviously. Yeah, because I think it's very much like this kind of like steady standby. It's a little bit less off the wall.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's a little bit less exciting. I think it's still good, but it's very kind of like straightforward.
Yeah, it's not groundbreaking. Yeah, it's interesting too. You know, I don't want to rehash this because we did talk about it on the first episode, but I do think Radical Optimism was really overlooked because Future Nostalgia was such a banger of an album that it would inevitably, whatever she put out afterwards, was going to be compared to her sophomore triumph.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, aside from pop music,
so done with music,
the good and the bad.
Yeah.
There's some other stuff that we got to talk about that happened in 2024. The summer.
Yes. Yeah, let's catch up on Justin Timberlake's DUI arrest, because there actually have been some updates there. And this is another big cultural moment. You know, this is going to ruin the tour.
It's going to ruin the tour. What tour? Listen, Justin Timberlake, you know what? Justin, we're in the middle of an extinction event, I realize.
Justin Timberlake is in the same category as Katy Perry.
Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Gone. Career in shambles.
Was Justin Timberlake really... I feel like Katy Perry came about way later. Yeah, because Timberlake obviously was around with NSYNC. Yeah.
99.
But Katy Perry, much newer, but I guess they are about the same age, probably.
I think he may be a little bit older, but similar age, for sure. I think they're both in their, over the hill.
This goes back to our conversation about, is it possible to get older and make relevant music, basically, right? Like, we were talking about Coldplay.
I think it certainly is, because you know what comes to mind? Madonna.
Other than Beyonce. I was actually thinking about Madonna a lot listening to the Katy Perry album, because I was like, how did she do it? Like, how was she the pop star that managed to stay relevant into her, like, 40s and 50s?
Firstly, we gotta talk about Ray of Light.
Right, that's what Ray of Light. And then
absolutely defining album.
And then Confessions on a Dance Floor after that, like.
And exactly, they were both so good.
And it wasn't like she, quote unquote, she matured as an artist, but it wasn't like she went to like easy listening or like.
Right, she didn't really change her genre.
It was still pop music and dance music.
Mm-hmm. I think that, what I think about Madonna is that she is truly an artist who has and is capable of grand visioning. Actually, I feel this way no matter what industry you are a part of. But I think all titans of any industry are capable of and experts at grand visioning. I don't even know if grand visioning is a term that's really used. It's just a term that I'm using. It could be something that exists, or it may just be something I'm fully making up. But if you can't like really see yourself in the context of the world and understand like the implications of the choices you make as an artist who has a large platform, and you can't say like, I'm fully imagining what this will sound like, what it will look like, and what it will feel like. If you're incapable of doing that, I don't think that you're capable of like staying relevant. If you're going to rebrand yourself, you have to know what your brand is going to sound like, feel like, and look like to people.
Yeah.
Because those are the three senses that are involved in that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Justin Timberlake, I think, has struggled post suit and tie era. And even during, I think Sexy Back and Future Sex Love Sounds was his peak, yeah.
During suit and tie era, that was a terrible album.
Yeah, I remember I kind of liked the single, but then, and he at the time was doing a lot of collaborations. I think he collaborated with Jay-Z on Holy Grail, which I think was a pretty fun song.
I feel it was okay. I didn't love Holy Grail like a lot of people did. And I'm a Jay-Z fan.
I thought it was fun. I don't think it was like particularly mind-blowing or anything, but the vibe of it was fun, yeah.
It was. You know, Future Sex Love Sounds was an excellent album. But I think that had a lot to do with Timbaland.
Yeah.
Timbaland is a person who's capable of grand visioning.
I mean, maybe it's also just working with producers who haven't fallen off a cliff. Because if you think about, like, we talked about Katy Perry and the producer she worked with, a lot of them they've made hits in the past, but, like, what has Dr. Luke done recently?
I mean, aside from
obviously being a predator. Yeah.
Predator.
But outside of that,
Assailant.
I mean, musically.
Yeah.
And it does give me joy to know that somebody who's a bad person has also completely fallen off in terms of production quality. Because
100%.
Yeah, like I think it does have something to do with like Madonna, when she did Ray of Light, for example, she was working she was at least working with electronic genres that were in at that time, right? That 100%. Were in the zeitgeist. And it's just knowing it's that issue of taste again. Like we talked about with Katy Perry, it's just knowing what's hot. And I think also having a genuine appreciation for what's hot, because if you don't actually like that type of music, then you get a Camila Cabello situation, right?
Yeah. Okay, you really got to it. That I think it really is, and I feel like we're using this word a lot the last few episodes, but it really is about authenticity. I think Madonna is truly like a scholar of the world. She is very fascinated by different cultures, by different beliefs, very interested in different genres of music, not afraid to dabble in it, and not afraid to like really take a big swing and try something different. And I feel like Katy Perry wanted to dabble in music that could be like TikTokable, that would sound good sped up, that would feature some hot artists right now like Doechii and Kim Petras, but like didn't fully commit. And didn't have a grand vision. Was just like, oh, I'll do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We'll put it together in a pretty package and push it out, and I'm going to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
And just not the same vibe. Madonna fully was living in her like post grunge, almost Burning Man-esque fantasy for A Ray of Light, and then for Confessions of the Dance Floor, she fully went to like disco, like late 70s, early 80s sounds and dance music, and fully committed. I mean, her whole look changed for all of that. You know who else does that? Lady Gaga.
Yeah, Lady Gaga.
I'm excited for her next album.
I'm very curious to see what she continues to do with her career, and I, not to go back to the Bruno Mars single, but yeah.
Which you love.
I think it's, as we've discussed, I think it's kind of mid, but.
You love it, don't lie, Justin.
But I'm still a fan of Gaga, so I am excited to see what she does for her next album for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Timberlake, you saw that he pled guilty to a lesser charge.
Timberlake. Have you seen that video?
No, I have not.
He goes, "Stop! They call me Timberlake. Timberlake." Oh no. It's horrible. You have to watch it. We'll post it on Instagram.
We will.
The best is the pan to Britney Spears in the audience watching.
Oh god.
She looks like she gives like a Jim Halpert look to the camera. It is so good.
Wow. Again, it's like Katy Perry. It makes you wonder how this guy was ever like a cultural leader. during the Future Sex Love Sounds era. But yeah, he's back on tour because he pled guilty to a lesser charge, and I think that was partially because he didn't want any details about what may have been in his system to come out.
Poppers.
There were some rumors about that. Yeah.
Poppers.
That I remember we did not get into during the episode where we discussed that. Yeah.
Getting into a little butt stuff, honey. Nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it. Yeah. One last trend that I feel like I noticed personally from this summer is that there were a lot of horror movies, and actually really good horror movies that came out this summer. So just on our podcast, we talked about Long Legs, which may have been the most out of left field topic we've had for a podcast so far.
It surely was. It was out of left field for me to even watch it.
And it was a great movie. I loved that movie.
It was great. It was really good.
I also talked about Cuckoo on the pod, which was not as good as Long Legs, but still a lot of fun and had a great performance from Hunter Schafer.
Love Hunter.
And then another film that came out and was pretty successful was Alien Romulus, which I have seen.
Oh, you did see it?
Yes, I saw it actually with our mutual friend Ben and with Brandy.
You know, you're talking to me here. You don't have to tell me that they're our mutual friend. I'm fully aware that we're mutual friends.
When I say that, it's not for you. It's for the listener to make sure that they are aware.
The listener needs to just join into our lives where they are, because then they're going to be like, well, who's Ben? And then they want to listen to more and they look more into us, Justin. You see how that works?
I see.
Just dangle the carrot a little bit.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind for next time. But yeah, Alien Romulus, it was... Honestly, I mean, it captured a little bit of the horror, like, or sci-fi kind of genre film conversation for a couple of weeks. While I don't think it's the best Alien movie, I do not think that it's better than Prometheus, which is a movie that I talked about in a previous episode.
You sure did.
But it's definitely like the most culturally important Alien movie since probably, I guess, Prometheus. Like, I think that it's made the most headlines. It has the most people talking about it, whether they liked it or didn't like it. It was mostly well-reviewed.
I was just going to ask that.
Yeah, by critics. I have mixed feelings about it that I won't go too deep into here because it's not an episode about Alien Romulus, but it was very bogged down by franchise aspirations and restrictions, I think.
Okay.
In some ways, that was fun because it was like a revival of those old vibes of Alien films. And in other ways, it was like, we don't need to be doing this. Who allowed this? there's one particular moment late in the film that I literally like rolled my eyes and groaned, like in the theater. I was like, why?
Oh no.
Which is sad because actually it was a really good movie in a lot of other ways, but I think it was trying to capture like every corner. Remember how I talked about during the Prometheus episode how you've got like 5 different pools of fans of Alien, and like some of them really like the horror stuff, some of them really like the action stuff.
Yeah.
Romulus tried to get
both
all of those fans in under the same umbrella. And I think
hard.
For that reason, it was trying to do too much. But it was actually shockingly good for most of its runtime. So if you're into the Alien franchise, I would definitely recommend it. But yeah, those were 3 horror movies that I saw and enjoyed. And there were many more that I didn't even see. So
we got to talk about this. We got to talk about the X trilogy. This is something that I have been meaning to watch for 2 years now, and I have not gotten around to it. So we're talking about the movie X, Pearl, which were both released in 2022, and the latest one released this summer, Maxine, with 3 X's.
Yeah, I want to see this because Mia Goth is like an incredible performer. She's a great actor.
Her performance, I've only seen this clip on TikTok, but her performance during a play that she's doing in the movie in Pearl is haunting, is deeply unsettling, and so profoundly lived in and good. It literally gave me chills when I was watching her reaction. And the end credits where she strikes a pose and stares at the camera for like 3 minutes while the credits roll and starts crying, it's so haunting. I've never forgotten it.
I saw her in Suspiria, which is a horror movie that came out from actually the same director as Challengers.
T. West.
No, from the same director as Challengers.
Okay.
Yeah, not the same director as Maxine and Pearl and X. Yes, Luca Guadagnino. Yeah. And she was excellent in that movie as well. She was great. Yeah, and it's a trilogy, which makes me... I mean, it kind of has a cult following. I think they're all A24 produced.
Love A24.
Yeah, so I'm very curious to watch these. I think they're kind of like
I want to watch
slasher movies. I hear they're very gory.
Yeah.
So...
perfect for spooky season, Justin. It is upon us, the veil is thinning.
This is what I was talking about when I was talking about the summer vibes that I got this year, because
Uh-huh.
I wish that I had the time to sit and do a movie marathon and just watch them all 3 back to back to back.
Yeah, I really want to watch Maxine. Justin, does a spooky season make you want to come back home to the Northeast?
I would love
for a
to.
long weekend.
I mean, I would love to watch all 3 of those movies with you and friends. And I would also love to have an episode about them if we have a spot in our lineup.
Oh, I would love to do that. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But yeah, overall, I think I had a great summer. There's a lot of good pop culture. It was a great summer to start the pod.
It surely was. We had a lot of good stuff happen.
All right, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with our What's Goods.
What's good?
We're back.
We're back.
It's the end of the summer, but it is not the end of this podcast.
Oh, certainly not.
So, Geoff?
Yeah?
I have a question to ask you.
Oh, okay.
We talked a lot about the best things that happened over the summer. Some bad things that happened over the summer, but mostly good things.
Mostly good.
And now that we've entered the fall season, I want to ask you, what is your first What's Good of fall 2024?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, Justin, as I am every time you do, because I want to share with you a little bit about a show that I have recently started watching. Not new. It's in its 3rd season, I do believe. But it's a show on FX, and it's called Reservation Dogs.
Ooh.
And it is a television series. It's a comedy. It's a 22-minute comedy. I would say half hour if you're not streaming. And it's produced by FX Productions, and it was created by Sterling Hajaro and Taika Waititi. Basically, it follows the lives of these 4 indigenous teenagers living on a reservation in Oklahoma. And they basically spend all their time committing like petty theft and other like kind of petty crimes to earn money so that they can kind of escape their lives on the reservation.
Right.
It's a pretty cool show because it's like one of the first, I think it might be the first American series to feature like a fully indigenous staff of writers and directors and an almost entirely indigenous cast as well. So it's really good. I know that it was filmed on location in Oklahoma, and I've been watching it on Hulu streaming. Thanks, Ben. It's been nominated for a ton of awards, Independent Spirit Awards, Peabody.
It was just recently Emmy nominated for the first time, which is very long overdue. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nominated for 5 Emmys, including Outstanding Comedy Series, Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series for Pharaoh Wunatai, who, by the way, is so beautiful. I can't stop staring at him every time he's on the screen. And even though he is playing a teenager, he is like in his like mid-20s. I want to just say that. But yeah, and so basically it follows the lives of these 4 teens, and one of the subplots of the series is that they are all mourning the loss of their friend who died by suicide off screen and before the series picks up. And it's really cool. The show has like, you know what it fills? It fills for me the void that Atlanta left.
I was just going to ask if it had that energy, yeah.
Yes, it very much has that energy. There is a lot of it there. It's episodic, but there are certain episodes that kind of veer off of the normal plot and have like almost like a mini episode or a mini movie. And they don't really have anything to do directly with the plot, and it's mostly character-driven side quests, which I really loved about Atlanta and I'm really enjoying with this show. And it also has a lot of surrealism in this.
Which I love as well, yeah.
I love it too. And it's also funny because, not just because they're it's an indigenous show, but because of the world building that they do, there's like particular words and phrases that show up all the time that I've never heard anywhere else in the world that they use as like part of like identifying that you're in this like sort of parallel universe or parallel world. It's really interesting. Yeah, I love this show. I'm only on episode 3 of season 2. I binged the first season. I watched it in like 5 or 6 days. and I've really been enjoying it.
When they're half an hour episodes, it's easy to do that. So that's nice.
So easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy watching. I like come home from work, do my little house chores, and then I usually watch like 3 episodes back to back at night. The performances are amazing. The directing and the cinematography is really also outstanding, and the cinematography also gives me Atlanta vibes. They do lots of like the big sky shots with the characters kind of like walking across the screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very dynamically shot show, and I love that the actors are so young and so lived in and strong, and they feel like real people, and I just can't say enough good things about this show. So everybody should check out Reservation Dogs on FX and streaming on Hulu.
I've been meaning to watch this for a long time. Yeah, I remember hearing about it when its first season came out. I think the AV Club was a really early raver that talked a lot about how great this show was and how it should be Emmy nominated. So I'll add it to my list for sure.
Yeah, it was incredible. Oh, also, I want to say I really like the activism that a lot of these actors do off screen. Tefera Munatai, who's like the lead, who was nominated for the Primetime Emmy, wore a painted red handprint on his face during the awards, and it was to bring awareness to the like 40,000 missing Indigenous women in America with like cold cases. So really important cause, really worthwhile, and just incredible actors, incredible series. I think that this is like a 1 in a million type of show. Well, Justin, you heard all of my thoughts for today's podcast on the summer, on what I'm looking forward to this fall, on what I'm currently watching and what I think is good. And so now it's time for me to ask you, Justin, what's good?
Well, Geoff, this weekend has been an excellent weekend for new music drops. We got a new Jamie XX album. We got a new Bon Iver single. We, of course, got the legendary album 143 by Katy Perry.
Sure did.
In addition to that, we got my What's Good for this week. It is a new album from the band Hippocampus, and it's called Flood. So our repeat listeners may remember that I previously had a single from this album called Paranoid as my What's Good a few weeks ago. And ever since then, I have been obsessed with the singles released from this album, to the point where this was like maybe my most anticipated album of the year, after Brat, probably.
Okay.
And, the album did not really disappoint. So I'm really enjoying it. So Hippocampus, I did a little bit of the description of what the band is like, but this was during the episode that we recorded when Geoff had COVID, so I was kind of speeding through it a little bit. But for those who aren't familiar with the band, they've been around for a long time. They've been recording music together since like I think 2015 or 2016 when they were like in high school. And they started off as like a pretty straightforward kind of like hooky pop rock band. Think in the vein of like, I don't know, like Foster the People or like Group Love, where it's really like hook centric.
Group Love.
And I never really cared about or even understood the lyrics in a lot of their songs. And that was like in their earliest album, Landmark, that they were really into that kind of style of music. And then they had this really interesting period where they experimented a lot with different kinds of sounds. So in their mainline albums, Bambi and LP3, they experimented a lot with electronic music, and they added like synths and drum loops into their music. And they experimented with different like song structures. They also put out EPs in between these albums that experimented with other genres. Like they got a little bit country with one of them. They got a little bit like punk rock with one of them. So they've always been really interested in like messing around with their sound and doing new things, which is something that I appreciate. But this new album sees them coming back to just really focusing on making just good songs. They slowed down to a level where they're not just like making these hooks that are like very easily like that get stuck in your head, but it's also like lyrically for the first time I'm connecting with a lot of these songs. And I think that the reason why is because, these band members have been playing together for a long time since they were teenagers, and now they're entering their 30s. They've talked a lot in interviews leading up to this album how like they've had friends who have passed away, how like one band member has gotten sober because like he had problems with alcohol, and how their lives have just changed since they were in their 20s. And I think part of that was refocusing from just doing things that are like, we have to make sure that we're doing the most experimental, the weirdest stuff, like the craziest stuff. And instead just being like, why are we making music? Like, what is actually important to us? And it's like the songs and the meaning of the songs. Yeah, this album is great. A lot of the themes have to do with like grappling with that sense of like meaninglessness in your life, you know, finding meaning again after you've been doing the same thing for such a long time, and kind of like overcoming the noise and anxiety of the world to like do something that's worthwhile. Which reminds me a little bit of like the themes in like something like The Bear, for example, which we've talked about on the show before. So a couple of songs that I really like from the album. So there's a song, Flood, which is midway through the album, and obviously this is the title track. And this song is really a builder, and it crescendos into this like glittering electric guitar, just like slam.
Do I even believe what I'm talking about?
And it's just about like the unrelenting passage of time and like events that happen in your life and how easy it is to get lost in that and then overcoming that. I think that in terms of like sonically what this album reminds me of, it has a lot of like Goo Goo Dolls, a lot of like in certain songs like The Strokes, but I think the closest touch point is something like Kings of Leon, where it has a little bit of that like Americana vibe to it, but it's still like big emotional arena rock music, like emotional but not emo rock music. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
The vocalist sounds totally different from the vocalist of Kings of Leon, which I know is a lot of the reason why people like that band. But in terms of like the...
And for sometimes the reasons they don't.
Yes. But in terms of like the instrumentation and the general vibes of the music, I think there's a lot of connection there. Okay. Song number 2 that I wanted to talk about is called Tooth Fairy. This song begins with some lyrics that are like very dreamlike, where the singer talks about how he like had a dream and he's like lost his teeth, which is a classic like anxiety dream thing. And it's very just kind of like sporadic images that he brings up. And it has this like rapid fire delivery of those beginning lyrics, and it's about anxiety.
Lost my teeth in a dream that I had. White dental floss in the palm of my hand. Got a new pair of shoes and a fear of the dead. Too slow, let's go, get me out of my head.
And it kind of crescendos into this really beautiful outro that like brings in this kind of like Mellotron synth that comes in it at the back end and really makes it sound very lush compared to like a very staccato delivery at the beginning. And that coincides with the lyric about like getting out from your own head and like, you know, experiencing existence, raw dogging it, you know?
Oh my God.
Instead of just having like these constant like impulses in your brain, whether that be like anxiety or just like stuff that you've got going on all the time, right? But trying to find those experiences that kind of elevate you up into like being aware and lucid, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. Final song, and this is the song that makes me think that this album has a lot of Goo Goo Dolls energy, is called Forget It. So this song is a bit of a power ballad.
Okay.
It's co-written by the lead singer and his now wife, who is not a part of the band, I should be clear. But she's credited as a writer on the song. And the song is very much about a relationship in its like early days when there's two people and they're like at a party together, they're staying up late, they're having a conversation, maybe they sleep over together. The feeling of just like, and I think it's from the lead singer's point of view, who's a man, and he's like, I'm just gonna like brush this off like it's nothing. Like, I'm gonna forget this, you're gonna forget this, like none of this matters anyways. Like, I'm just gonna keep on living my life. Almost as like a defense mechanism, right? When really like something that he might not even know about himself is that he's not gonna forget that this ever happened. Like, he's gonna like latch onto this and need this romance, right? And he actually wants it, even if he doesn't know that himself. He's saying this kind of like mantra of like, I'll forget it, you'll forget it. Again, quick staccato delivery of the lyrics. And then as the song progresses, there's like a second melody that comes in over the forget it about these like very impressionistic images that keep returning to his mind about how they were like hanging out late at night and he was dancing in her living room or whatever. And then by the time that the final chorus comes about, the I forget it line is gone and it's replaced by this brand new melody that's about how he is going to remember the relationship. So it's like,
oh, I like that.
Kind of like discovering something about himself and also the beginning of this like longer term relationship. Instead of like succumbing to that anxiety of just like, I'm too scared of the failure. I don't want to have to deal with this, so I'm just going to brush this off. So yeah, it's really a beautiful album. There's a couple of songs that are a little bit too earnest, where it gets a little bit into like Christian rock or like like Dave Matthews Band-esque territory.
Are they a Christian band?
No, but it has like
You're just saying that vibe.
That vibe.
The earnestness, the cloying.
It's just a little bit too much. Like some of the early songs are a little bit too much for me. But I think largely it does a really good job of like putting forward this idea of like understanding yourself better as you age and growing into yourself instead of just like partying and having this anxiety or using substances or whatever to kind of just like dull and keep it going, like keep the band going, keep doing the craziest stuff. It's about like self-reflection and understanding who you are. And talking about actually a lot of my favorite albums from this summer, I think that there's a lot of commonality there with a lot of the albums that I really like from this summer, like Dua Lipa,
I was going to say, that's so
Charli
Brat
XCX.
of them.
Yeah.
So Brat.
That's just a genre of music that I'm enjoying right now, and it's probably because I am like that archetypical millennial entering his 30s who's like...
Oh, yeah. Entering?
Well, you know, I've already entered. Not you, of course.
Not me, of course.
You're about to
29.
enter as somebody who is age 29, famously.
Oh my god, my birthday's coming up soon.
Can't wait for you to turn 29 again.
We'll see what happens.
That was a bit of a long what's good, but the album is called Flood, and it's by the band Hippocampus. I would highly recommend it.
Well, guess what I'm going to listen to while I hop in the shower now?
Flood by Hippocampus?
No, I'm listening to Brad again. God. This has been another great episode, Justin.
Geoff, it has, and we'll be back next week to talk about fall. The season.
Whoa! Okay, everybody, put that one in your calendars. Don't forget to stick it in the tickler.
The listeners are running. Fall. They're running. They're not walking to next week's episode.
Oh my god.
It's going to be a banger.
It's going to be something. All right, okay. Well, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
This has been Bants with Geoff and Justin. Bants is created and produced by Geoff Taylor and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by Geoff Taylor. Editing by me, Justin Benavidez. The theme music for Bants is the track Time With You by Talif featuring Rule. That's spelled RVLE, and it's provided by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bantspod@gmail.com with any questions, recommendations, or just to say hi. If you like the podcast, rate and review us on Apple or Spotify. And tell your friends. See ya!
Bye!
The theme music for Bants is the track Time With You by Talif featuring Rule. That's spelled RVLE, and is provided by No Copyright Sounds. All opinions are their own, and in...
I forgot I was typing that. Because I started listening to your What's Good. Well, let's try that again.
Okay.